Here.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Good evening again, everyone. Got Jayda here with us again.
Hello.
Hanging in. You've been here all day.
Absolutely. It's been an all-day watch.
In case you guys don't know Jayda, she's our new forecast. You've been here, what, almost 6 months now, though, haven't you?
Yeah, I think so.
Time's gone by fast.
It really has. We've gone from heat advisories to now winter weather advisories.
Yeah,
So.
you can join Jayda every weekend. Sometimes, when we don't have sports, you get to do all the newscasts and do the weather in the newscast.
Yeah.
But, cold weather out there. What's the latest here on the
Yes.
road report?
So-
We're kind of at the point where everybody wants to know, what's the road look like in my front yard sometimes?
We've got a lot of road closures as far as Madison County goes. So let's go ahead and jump into that. So Highway 53 and Research Boulevard, all elevated areas of Research Park Boulevard as well closed, and that's per LDOT. So a lot of times these elevated areas are still kind of tough going for drivers. So keep that in mind. Highway 53 section road is impassable. And then we also have Browns Ferry Road impassable. Memorial Parkway is closed from Oakwood Avenue to Airport Road, and Governor's Drive is closed between 14th Street and Holmes Avenue. So a lot of these areas, we are urging our motorists to make sure they avoid these areas. And that's coming from our sheriff's office. And of course, city officials have been talking about all weekend long about some of these road closures as well. And Lincoln County, for our Tennessee folks, TDOT has closed all state highways in the county for Lincoln County, and no wrecker services are available to respond at the moment. And I think earlier we talked about that these roadways are even dangerous for emergency folks.
Yeah, you get these heavier vehicles out there. It's ice. And they're trying to treat it. And Phil Vandiver out in Madison County actually had one of his posts. He was out there trying to do what he could, slid through an intersection as well. And I talked to the newsroom, and we've seen these kind of reports that Jayda just mentioned. They're about an hour delay from one county to the next. So this is happening now. The big issue is from Huntsville up to Lincoln County, and it's going to transition east. I think it's probably going to be worse earlier in Jackson County because you've had some snow. They've had some snow over there.
Right.
The snow's very light right now, but they had a quick dusting over there. And I think, I read this as well, this road closure, Highway 53 and Research Park Boulevard. I think it's the overpass there because I can't imagine, because then, again, the overpasses freeze up faster. And that's where you run into problems. And you're driving along and you hit an overpass, and all of a sudden there's ice. It's a no-fail thing. Someone was asking me about will the mountain by Montesano be closed tomorrow? It's very possible. It's very possible everything's going to freeze up tonight. Especially, if it's wet now, will the power go out? The power probably will not go out. Again, you get to far western Colbert County, Lauderdale, and Franklin. That's where we've had the tree issues, and southern Middle Tennessee. And the only reason we would have power outages would be a wind gust would hit one of these trees.
Yes.
Or a tree branch would be like, okay, I'm done. I've been holding up all this weight for 24 hours, and it fails. And that happens more so on pine trees and things like that. Also, as Jayda was tracking earlier today, we had about 3 inches of rain.
Yes.
So the soil is saturated. So these trees, it doesn't take as much wind to knock them over. And these trees are heavier overall, just heavy. They're loaded with ice. I think the roads are going to really start improving by 10 o'clock in the morning. And a lot of people are like, well, how can that happen if we're in the 20s tomorrow?
Right.
Well, it's because the sun's a pretty powerful thing. You get that ultraviolet radiation down here on those black asphalt roads, and it warms up rather quickly. We're going to get to the road temperatures here in just a second, but let's take this full here. I'll talk about what's going on. And you know what? We got one photo I want to show you as well, right after these temperatures. Notice it's colder farther to the northwest, and that's mainly because that's where some of that sleet pack is, and it's harder to get that area to cool off more. And, of course, that's where the front came in first. But in the far northwest corner near Waterloo, and Waterloo, we talked about them earlier in the spring when we had that tornado came through. It was the first tornado of the day. You may remember that picture right there on the Tennessee River with it, Pickwick Lake. But here's an image earlier today, and we're in the world of people, not believing certain things. And rightfully so, because AI generates a lot of stuff. So I had somebody comment on this photo. They said, this is AI generated. If you zoom in, and then I'm like looking at it, I'm like, this looks a lot like the Florence Utilities photo. Similar conditions out here. So then the fellow that took the picture He said, no, this is the certain road that this is. I think it's 48 or something. And then the next comment was the lady says, no, that's my husband on the tractor. So again, that's one thing we honestly have to worry about is this situation where you have AI generated photos, but this clearly is not. But again, this is the kind of damage they're dealing with. The power's out over there, and some areas are not able to keep the pipes from bursting tonight. So even if your power's out, I'd give it a try to trickle that faucet as best you can.
And another thing before we move forward, you can also see these trees bending as well. That's kind of going back to what we were talking about. Some of these trees are hanging on to that weight that they've been holding on to for now 24 plus hours.
Yeah.
So you can definitely get a look here that all of the cautions and issues that we have said have been arising, some things we're concerned about. You can see all of our concerns in this one photo.
Yeah, someone was asking if I was going to do a live on the way home, and I probably will. You guys have tempted me to do it, so I do have to drive home. Here's another photo here. This was from earlier this evening. This was some nest video, actually still of it, but this was the kind of little accumulation they got over in Bryant. Rainsville had a quick burst of snow, and as we go back to the radar, a lot of you saying, oh, it doesn't show up on my radar, on my app. What we're seeing here most likely is going to be ground clutter over there in Mississippi. Still some flurries. Had some good flurries earlier in Madison, but a lot of this activity has faded away. And they put that advisory out as hey, here's a heads up. We're getting additional moisture. There's no way the roads are going to dry. So we just have flurries over there. And the reason we see it on this radar is because I've taken the levels way down so we can see the decibels of Z. And most of your app radars, they're going to be showing you a composite image. And what these big companies do is they like to take out all the ground clutter, or else you're going to see these big donut holes all across the country. And then you're going to have people talking about manufacturing the weather, right? We get those. Yeah. Here's a look at road temperatures right now. They've been falling. They're now at 28 degrees in the Huntsville metro area, still hanging on to 33 in Fort Payne. But, trying to get road temperatures correct based on an algorithm in areas of the hilly terrain, it's very difficult. But what we want to know is what's going to happen to those roads overnight. Again, it just deteriorates through the overnight hours, and we just bottom out around the 18 or so. Here's 10 o'clock in the morning. And what happens is the sun will be out, we expect it. Even if it's cloudy in a few areas, enough of that radiation gets through the clouds to keep the roads warmer. And that's why we had temperatures at freezing tonight before sunset. It was cloudy, and it was actually had a little drizzle, but that radiation was still getting through. So you'll see a big improvement here as we go towards noon. You see the road temperature is 44, but the outside temperature is probably 22 to 26.
Right, very true.
And the air is dry. And this is a thin layer of ice. This is a glazing. So it's not that deep. It's clear. It's see-through. It's not like a white snowpack. If it was a snowpack, what happens is that white on the snowpack actually transmits some of that energy back out to space. And snow melts from the bottom up, if you've ever noticed that. So, again, just keeping an eye. Still getting some snow and sleet in Waterloo. Okay, yeah, we still got little spurts of that over there. So some of this might even see what we call ice needles. You may have to Google that one.
Yeah.
That's something you see when it's really, really cold, but it's not cold enough to take a big pan of boiling water and throw it in the air and have it. Yeah. I've seen some people try that and fail. So again, don't try that. You'll just burn yourself. It's not that cold. Here are the wind chill. Here's the wind chill factor now. It feels like 5 in Meridianville, 3. So imagine you're out on the road, you get stuck, you're in your car, and you're having to deal with the wind chill.
Yeah.
I'm not looking forward to that. So I got my coat with me. This is why when you travel, you want to make sure you have plenty of gas in your vehicle in case you do get stuck or something. You have to leave the car running. Those things. It only gets worse. 1 o'clock in the morning, 0 to 2 below 0. And this is tomorrow morning. This was the initial reason for the school closings.
Right.
They started coming out Friday. And people are like, these kids are a bunch of wimps these days. They can't take anything. But, man, I mean, that's cold. You get kids on a school bus.
Exactly.
Or you get kids at school in the 20s and, say, the power grid goes down.
There's not much they can, especially with a lot of our students, a lot of that stuff is online nowadays. So you're out of power. It's not really much, that students could really do through that.
Yeah,
point.
Susan brings up a good point about the refreeze. I don't think there'll be any refreeze tomorrow night just because it's all gone.
Yeah.
The shaded areas, I think they'll even dry because this air is really dry and the wind's going to dry the roads. So, again.
And we still, I think you said sometimes you check dew points at this point. They're still pretty low.
Yeah, dew points are probably dropping in the single digits, if not below zero. They'll probably be below zero. So, again, dew points is kind of a fictitious number, the amount of moisture in the air, but it's going to be very dry. Tuesday morning doesn't get any better. In fact, it's worse in Leoma, 5 below. So, overall, 10-day forecast time. We don't have any rain. We got some sunshine coming tomorrow, but the high only 28. We get up to a balmy 38 Tuesday.
Nice.
And then close to 9 in some areas Tuesday morning. And, we got Huntsville Havoc. You could probably play hockey out there right now in your driveway.
Absolutely.
They're coming up Friday and Saturday. But, again, a very cold stretch to finish out the month. And we've been on a real winning streak with this warmer than normal weather pattern for a while. But, that's our wacky weather pattern. I honestly haven't looked at that fictitious storm that was showing up.
I looked into it a little bit, and it doesn't seem like with our...
It's going way south from what I saw.
Yeah, it doesn't look like we have that makeup for it. Yeah. Staying dry up here as well, so we're not really...
So maybe we'll get a social media break next week, right?
Yeah, maybe. Fingers crossed.
Let's see if we got any other pertinent questions, and then we're going to sign off.
For sure.
Get ready for that 10 o'clock news tonight. Boy, how about the Seahawks? Did you watch any of the game?
I watched clips.
Yeah.
So... I think between the Seahawks and the Rams, those were my two teams that I was kind of like, you know what? Kind of iffy on who I would like.
Seahawks really surprised me this year. They were tough. Every time I watched them play, they were really good. Kind of like Indiana was good this year in college.
Yes.
That's a sore subject.
Now, listen, as an Alabama fan, I was very surprised and proud for the Hoosiers. So... good stuff. Love to see the Crimson on top.
Well, when your team gets beat, you always like to see the team that beats you go on and win. So it's a little bit of legitimacy there.
Good stuff.
Well, I appreciate you guys tuning in. If you can't stay up late tonight for 10 o'clock, I'll have another update, which is pretty much what I've already told you, to be honest. And Eric's going to be in tomorrow morning. You'll be in tomorrow afternoon.
Yep.
I'm going to be attending a virtual weather conference. Wasn't able to make it into Houston. I'm kind of glad I stuck around here because my flight was going into Dallas, which would have been a nightmare. So flying anywhere in this kind of weather, how big a storm this was, I don't like delays in airports. So I'm not patient when it comes to that.
I got one delay that had me like about 5 hours off of my trip. It was the worst. Absolutely.
Well, the longer you live, the longer your delays will be. I can only guarantee you that. Well, you guys take care. We appreciate you tuning in. We know you got all sorts of things you can do. But again, we'll have full updates on what you can expect the road conditions tomorrow morning beginning at 4:30 a.m. here on WAFF.